Oh. Oh, I did not know that you were hiding here. Oh, you're a beautiful guillotine. Very old, very rusted, but you know what? A lot of you looks okay. I'm impressed. Yeah. I can feel the spirits of all the souls that have been inside you. Um, and I expect that you are listening to me at the current moment. So I'm just going to explain my process here. I am a health inspector. I want to make sure that everybody's guillotines are up to standard. Currently and in this day and age, the guillotines are becoming a lot more popular. So, it's been a while. I know you're very old and it's been a while since you've been sort of uncovered. So just to let you and all the spirits within you know that we've had a little bit of issues with certain people, so certain top 1%ers, perhaps certain billionaires that are a little bit of a problem for us. Yeah, so, guillotines are becoming a lot more popular. So what I think, I found like a niche in the market, right? And, I am the first guillotine health inspector. And you know what? I've been making so much money. It's honestly insane. Yeah, people pay me for it for sure. Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. Let me try and restore you, okay? I think it's gonna be good. Okay. I think first of all we need to look at a little bit of like what you are lacking, right? Because if I were to actually look at you, like someone asked me to look at you as a health inspection, I see that you're a blade. It's pretty solid. It's pretty rusted, but in all honesty, you can derust something pretty well, and then you'll need a good polish and a good, a good scrubbing. Here, yeah, I think for sure, it's pretty solid. The actual blade needs a bit of sharpening here, just right here. Yeah, it just needs a little bit of sharpening. Otherwise, I think it's good. The beams are a little... they're not that great. If I'm being honest, I think that they're a little dry, yeah. Yeah, it's not very good. But honestly, if this is the worst, wood tends to be a bit harder to maintain, especially when no one's maintaining it. But you're being held up, which is honestly amazing. Yeah, okay, so I think I know what to do. Okay, well, I do have my toolkit with me. I wasn't expecting to find anything here, but you never know. This is, honestly, it feels like it's fate. So I think the first thing that I want to do to help you sort of be okay is to oil up a little bit of the wooden beams. I think that is the first step. But I did find a little bit of termite situation, a little bit of a bug situation, a bug problem. So I don't really want to touch it specifically. So I'm just going to put this on. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and remove those pesky bugs. Okay. And here's a very, very specific way to do this that I don't think people have really caught on to. And honestly, I think it's very, very, it works 40% of the time, which honestly is basically 100% of the time. So I think what I want to do here is I just want to put this here and then just scratch off a lot of these termites. Yeah, actually, there we go. Okay. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I think that the use of guillotines is honestly very impressive. And if I'm being even more honest, I think that you are a beauty, perhaps not the souls that you have taken, because I'm sure they deserved it in some capacity. Unless I'm not an expert on the history of guillotines. I'm more, I majored in marketing in college, and so I didn't really know much as to what to do after I graduated college. Not graduated, and then I was like, oh no, like the market is terrible, and I can't find a job. So I tried to create my own, as most people say to do. So, okay, let's go over here now, just on this side. There we go. Here. Right. Okay, very good, very good. Honestly, I'm impressed by your sturdiness. Nothing has broken. Yeah, I can feel you sort of trying to tell me things. So here's what I'm thinking. What? You know what? Maybe I should give you a little icebreaker. So, let's talk about, if I were to restore you, which I'm doing right now, who would be the first person you'd want to, first, Okay. A very good choice. I feel like not a lot of people would go for that as their first choice. Maybe, seventh or eighth, but not first. I think because, there was particularly a time where they were like, oh, that's the one good billionaire. But now I don't think people really think that anymore, But now the real question is, how do you feel about billionaires who are like also artists? Like the pop artists that are also billionaires. I know, they're also billionaires, so your job might be to behead some of them. But, we'll get there when we get there. Okay, I think that is good for that. So now I can just go ahead and oil it. I don't need this anymore because I'd rather not, I'd rather not get that, the dead termites on my hand. So now I'm just going to give you a nice little oil over here. Okay, so just stay still for me. And okay, then over here. Okay, and then just a bit more over here. Okay. Oh, it's dripping. Okay. All right, and then I just sort of need to wipe it around. So over here. Okay. And then over here. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, the beams now will soak up the oil. It'll take some time, but in the meantime, I should be able to remove some of that rust that's on there. Now, of course, I can use chemicals, but honestly, I don't really love chemicals. I don't love, I'm very all natural. I love, eating things that, I know where they come from. I'm non-GMO, non-FMO, HSA, whatever. Like, I don't like any of that stuff, so I will, of course, go ahead and just scrape it off. This brush it has really, really good bristles, and I think it'll remove the majority of the rust. And besides, you are, of course, going to be killing people, so I imagine that it's not going to be a big deal if you're, not the fanciest looking guillotine, as long as you get the job done. Yeah, so let's go ahead and there we go. Yeah, see, when I started this business of myself, working for myself, it was a trip because I saw this market and I was like, oh my God, I need to keep it on the down low. I need to not tell anybody about this. So I didn't post it on any of my social media. I didn't, and I've been posting a lot. I'm very, very up with all the trends on TikTok and, on YouTube Shorts. Well, nobody really watches YouTube Shorts except for people that don't want to watch TikTok, And half the time, YouTube Shorts are literally just, do you want to watch a movie in 72 parts? I will sit there and I will watch all 72 parts, but it's not the greatest. Over here. Yeah, and so I started this LLC and, people got interested and I was just like, oh my God, a lot of people who really want, have a lot of bloodlust. And you know what? I can't fault them. Why, what's a little bloodlust between friends, it's not, there are worse things. And spirits, how is it feeling so far? Hopefully I haven't disturbed too much of what's going on. I want to try and restore it to how it was so that you guys can enjoy it. I do recognize there could be a little bit of trauma, I assume, because, this is the thing that killed you. So if I'm restoring it in a way that, reignites that trauma, perhaps you should, go talk to a therapist about it. I'm sure there are therapist spirits out there for you. So let's go ahead and finish that. It's not the guillotine's fault that it was the one that killed you, Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of just like a nice little scent. Okay. I want to make sure that it smells very good and that the steel feels really good. And we need to sort of wash it, right? So it's going to be sort of like a soapy mixture. So let's go ahead here and just, okay. Very, very good. Very good. Then I'm just going to go ahead and use this to just get all in the nooks and crannies, because now that we've taken off a lot of the rust, what we've revealed is sort of this uneven, dirty metal, right? And we want to make sure that it's nice and polished. Okay, so let's just go ahead here and very good. Very good. Okay. So, I have to say, I do feel a little guilty, with all the guillotines and stuff, because, do billionaires really deserve to die? I mean, maybe. Maybe. But who am I to decide that? I'm just the health inspector. But it really weighs on me. And so when I go back home, sometimes I'll lay in bed in my beautiful, lovely room, and I'll just, I'll sit there and I'll stare and I'll be like, oh, boo-hoo. But then I'll think, oh, but all their money is now being redistributed. And then I feel a little better. Okay, I think that's good. Now I just want to wipe away some of the suds and stuff. Then over here. Okay, very good. Okay, so one of the few things that we need to do, what's left is actually polish you and get you nice and sharp, okay? Because here's the thing. If you have a dull blade, you might think that's better because then it hurts more for the person you're actually guillotining. But the issue is, if it's really dull and then it comes falling down, it won't go all the way through and it'll just bounce. So it will hurt, but the person will still be alive, and it'll be very traumatic for the audience. So, oh yeah. Of course, we've brought back audiences. Tickets are up. And I assume, since you're spirits, you don't really need to buy any, but it's really, really difficult to actually get tickets. It's been a mad dash, and honestly, I can't believe Ticketmaster has been all over it, because they've been buying out all the tickets for all these guillotine shows where people are just brought up and murdered. And, I want to be, I'm the one that fixed this guillotine, and they won't even let me come look at it, and now I have to pay over like $500, $600, maybe $1,000 just to come see someone get murdered. I feel like that's robbery. Anyway. Let me go ahead and use these. These are very, very special sticks, right? They're specifically made. I engineered them to both polish and sharpen the blade. Okay, so let's go ahead here. Here they are. So let's just there we go. Very, very good, right? Here, just going back and forth across the blade to make sure it is nice and sharp. Very good, very good. Okay, and it's looking... Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, very good. Honestly, I think that went very, very well. You have maintained very good bones for how old you are. But I want to say this, and I'm sorry to all the spirits, but the beauty standards for guillotines have really risen up. There's a lot more flourish to them now. There's a lot more, there's a lot of accoutrement, So what I want to do is at least bring you up to standard at the very least in terms of looks, because people don't really like the look of old guillotines. It makes them think of really, really old times and like to think that they're better than the past, even though they're really not. So here is what I'm going to do then. So there is, of course, guillotine foundation, and then what that's going to do is hide some of the scuffs, right? So all the scuffs and bumps and bruises that you have on your steel, it's going to be all hidden away. Okay, so here is this, and I'm just going to actually, did I put it? I didn't put any on. I was just gonna pat you with a something, a non loaded up sponge. So let me just. This is pretty important. You wouldn't understand as spirits. Okay. And just... Okay. And just... There we go. Yeah, just a little bit of foundation here is going to do wonders. Yeah, it's guillotine foundation. A lot of makeup brands, where they started sort of going into inanimate objects because they've realized that a lot of people have started to see through, a lot of their marketing schemes, a lot of their marketing gimmicks, where they try to make people, particularly women, feel bad about themselves so that they can buy these products and, take advantage of their insecurities. So, what I believe is happening is that now they're going to inanimate objects who don't really have feelings, but because as humans, we like to personify things, it tends to create a situation where we feel bad for the inanimate object, and so we buy the makeup for them. Of course, I would know nothing about personifying inanimate objects. I would never do such a thing. So, Okay. Good. Very good. Let me just... Wonderful. You're all good. You're all good to go. Okay. So I will have someone come by and pick you up. I don't think you have a driver's license yet, so you need someone to come drive you, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, I'll get you set up. I'll have contacts for you. You're going to be a star. If I'm being honest, I think that you're probably, with a little bit of luck, you might have that like rustic feel of sort of like a country pop star. It might, I think it might work out. You're going to have sold out shows. Okay. Okay. Well, I will see you at, when I see you. Okay. Okay.